Season 6, Episode 1 of Coffee with the K's. And we're calling this episode the Led Zeppelin episode because that's basically what it is. Hey,
Hey, I wanted to do the intro this time.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. So we're calling this the Led Zeppelin episode because we went and saw the Led Zeppelin movie.
Yes.
And what was it called, Josh?
It was called Becoming Led Zeppelin.
It was really very, very good. And I'm not as huge of a Led Zeppelin fan as the two of them, but we really enjoyed.
She's learning. She's coming along.
We've really learned a lot about Led Zeppelin, and I really appreciate their musicianship. What else did we talk about, Josh?
We talked about Bob Dylan.
Yes, that was a great movie, too.
The Complete Unknown.
Yes.
It was great. So we had some insights into that and why that was special to us as a family and to you
And
specifically.
To me, yes, it's my life. So much of that music is
Absolutely.
from my life, so it was great.
And of course, you stick around to the end to hear us wrap up the football season and talk about our fantasy league, yes, and what we're looking forward to in our sports teams in the new year.
And we had some good coffee, so join us on Coffee with the K's.
All right, Season 6, Episode 1, here we go. Hey, welcome to Coffee with the K's. We are starting Season 6 right here, first episode of the new year.
Yeah.
Happy 2025.
Happy clinkety clink. There
All
we go.
Very good.
Hard to believe, Season 6.
Yeah, there we go. Coffee with the K's. So, we are the K's. We have coffee. And if you're new to joining us, thank you very much for listening. We like to talk about coffee and music
And
sports.
yes,
who knows what else?
We'll say
All
sports.
kinds of stuff. Yeah.
We'll say sports, not just
say,
football.
We're going to say
We'll
sports. Go team.
Yes.
It's been a while since our
Sports
last
team.
podcast because I got the flu and I was down for
A
a
while.
long time, week and a half. Josh got the flu. He was down for a week. Or was it longer?
That was a week.
It seemed like a long
Well,
time, man.
it was like 2 weeks. I mean, it was 2 weekends. So
Yeah.
we didn't get to, because that's when we do the podcast.
Yeah.
So
it
anyway,
was-
we're back.
we're back.
Back.
We're back,
Yeah.
baby.
All right.
And we have some really great coffee. It's very tasty. Do you like it?
I like
you
it.
taste it?
Yeah, it's
It's
very
really
good.
smooth. It's always better the way Josh makes it, though. I will say, Josh, and he makes great coffee. This is called the Rebel Dog Coffee Company from Connecticut, it's called Big Red Truck Blend, and this is from the Jose family, who were with us here in Pensacola, and they started lessons here, and then they moved to outside of Houston, and they stayed with us.
Yeah.
And now they're in Connecticut, and so it's really been great. And they've bought us coffee from everywhere.
Everywhere they've been.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yes, they have. They bought us coffee from Whidbey Island because they were there
Yeah.
for a time before coming to Pensacola, and we loved
Yeah, that was good.
coffee.
That was good stuff.
That was very good. And then they bought us coffee from Houston, which we
Wasn't so
appreciated
great,
their
was
coffee. I mean, it wasn't. Now it's not like we didn't drink
It's
it.
not their fault,
No,
you know.
it's not
Yeah.
their fault. But
Yeah.
it wasn't as good as the Whidbey Island. And then this is very good.
This is good.
Yeah.
Yes, this one, she sent 2 bags. They sent 2 bags, and it's roasted it says roasted in Connecticut. And then it had a date. It had a date on it when it was roasted on February 3rd. So we got
Very
it.
fresh.
Fresh.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was like 3 weeks from when
Yeah.
it was roasted, which is really good. And so this one, do you have any kind of guess on the notes and stuff it says in there?
Yeah.
I'm really bad
It's
at
kind
that.
of nutty.
No.
Yeah, well, you mean no? That's what I'm tasting.
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, nut, caramel, a little bit.
Yeah, I was just going to say caramel.
Yeah,
Or caramel.
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 Yeah.
It is it's a dark roast, and it says tasting notes: dark chocolate, creme brulee, and warm spices.
Yeah, and they don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
You
the
taste
other.
creme brulee in that?
no.
I'm not really sure what creme brulee tastes like, but maybe that's the
It's
caramel taste.
creme that's been brulee.
Brulee, thank
Yeah,
you.
oh, that's good.
There you
That's
go.
good. Yeah, yeah.
And warm spices. It does have a little, some sort of a.
I'm not getting any spice.
Oh.
It's like nutmeg, maybe.
I don't know.
There's like a nutmeg taste a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah.
It
The other
is
thing is, I
very
don't
good.
feel like it's a dark roast. It feels like it's
It is
medium.
kind of light. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if I did it in the French press, if that would make
It would be darker.
yeah, it would bring out different notes. I
I've
just did a
been
pour over.
used to drinking that Guatemalan, man.
All right, that's dark.
You don't get any more dark
Yeah.
roast than that.
Yeah, that's definitely dark roast.
That's my
and,
go-to coffee there.
Is
you know.
it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I like Sumatra new coffee too.
Yeah.
And that's dark. That's real earthy.
Well, I've
That's
been
the
making
difference.
that an afternoon cup from Grounds and Hounds called the Beast.
Yeah, it's
The
good.
beast.
Yes, and I've been doing the French press, and it's very dark. We put a little heavy cream in it.
Very
Really
strong.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
then it makes us sleepy, so I don't really understand
Not
that.
all the
I
time.
don't understand the
Sometimes.
concept.
Something else in it.
I don't know. Yeah. Oopsie. But this is really good. I'm enjoying this, and it's a neat bag with the dog.
Yeah,
on
Rebel
it. I
Dog.
like the Rebel
Yeah,
Dog.
That's good. This
Coffee
is the
Company.
Big Red Truck Blend. It
Yes,
says there.
and there was
So
another
that for
kind.
Clifford the Big Red Dog.
I don't know. I was wondering.
It looks like
yeah.
a pit bull mix kind of a dog on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's another bag too. I don't remember what that one's called.
We'll have to try that. another
that
time.
one's
Yeah.
more nutty. That's why when you said the nut, the other one is the one that had the
Yeah.
tasting. Well,
Well, I always, the different ways that you brew it are going to bring out different notes, to me. So I'm always unsure whenever we get a new type of coffee. I feel like the best way to do it first is just with a pour over.
Yeah.
Just
And
do a
try it.
standard pour over. And that way you can't really go wrong. But then, once you taste it and you kind of get an idea, what it is, then, you could try, French press or Chemex or something like that, depending on,
Well, it was really nice of them to.
I know
do
it's
that.
so
Yeah.
wonderful,
Yeah.
and we really
Pleasant
like it.
surprise.
That was
It
nice.
was wonderful and a very nice note, and thank you, and we appreciate them.
Yeah.
And they're up there in Connecticut where it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and
So-
we got a little taste of that a couple of weeks ago here with
Yes.
the snow that rolled in
Yes.
in Florida. That was insane. I've never seen anything like that.
Nobody has. I mean, that was really an amazing thing, and it kind of feels like it was a dream. It was a while ago now, and it's just a blur. But
Yeah. So if you weren't aware, the last week of January, we got about 7 to 8 inches of snow here in Pensacola, Florida, and
we
Yeah.
kept saying, "This is Florida.
yeah.
This is Florida."
Well, and we took the day that we got the day off of school, the day that it kind of rolled in, and the kids were asking me, like, do you really think it's going to snow? And I was like, Dad, no, it's going to be, if it does, it'll be a little flurries, light dusting or whatever, and they just kept coming and coming and coming
Yeah,
and coming.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yep, it was really amazing, and it was beautiful, and it was fun, and it was we had a whole week off of school. That was really something.
Yeah.
It was kind of
pretty
weird,
cool.
but it was very
It
beautiful.
was, but definitely something you're not going to forget, and
No.
especially for our kids,
Yes.
they were like making memories there for
It
real.
was great.
It's pretty cool.
Our dogs didn't like the snow very much.
Yeah.
Other dogs,
Yeah, he did.
no, you should. Other
a
dogs
while.
were like frolicking in the snow, and ours were like lifting these big tough Rottweilers. Like,
What's
what
this
is
white
this
stuff?"
stuff?
Yeah, that's it.
And then they were afraid to move, and Ringo would just like step out the door and pee, like right there.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
You didn't want to go exploring.
No. Peanut had snow on her nose.
Yeah.
She liked to explore a little bit, but
Yeah, that's funny.
yes. So anyway, what's new, guys?
Well, we just came from watching Becoming Led Zeppelin at the movies.
Yeah, documentary about the beginning of Led Zeppelin. Yeah, how they got started.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of told from the surviving member's perspective. They even had some interview clips with John Bonham, which they said he didn't do very often.
Right.
But
He seemed really shy.
yeah,
I think that was the thing. He seemed
he
kind
didn't
of
play shy.
No.
No, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he wanted to be heard. But yeah, I did think that was something that made the documentary unique. Was the fact that it was all of them telling the story.
Right.
And I honestly think that's the only reason why they signed off on it, because the people have tried to do documentaries with them before and they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so this was kind of a big deal that they all three of them agreed to do it.
Yeah.
And signed off on it and approved of the whole process and everything. But yeah, it's because they got to tell the story. There was no narrator or anything,
And they picked the time frame of how they, like kind of each one of them, how they got involved with music, and then how they got together and the first 2 albums. And so they just kind of picked
Yeah,
that.
it was becoming Led Zeppelin,
yeah.
like how they got
How
started.
They all started as children, which is an interesting concept.
Oh, yeah.
Because they weren't adults that, picked up a guitar or whatever and decided to form a band. They said,
were
like Jimmy
kids.
Page, he never went anywhere without his
Yep.
guitar, even as a kid. All the pictures they showed of him, he's got that guitar,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said he took it to school and he played it the whole way to school, and then he'd get to school and the schoolmaster would take it away while
Give it
he was
to him at
and
the
then
end
give
of
it
the
to
day.
him at the end of the day, and then
Yeah.
he'd practice the whole way home too. And it's like I don't know that people realize the passion that's involved with these musicians.
Yeah.
I mean it's and that's what drew them together. They all had that passion, that
Yeah.
like-mindedness of,
Well, and you think about, just how long that was, he kind of glosses over, he tells the story and kind of glosses over, what he was doing now. Yeah, I was just playing all the time as a kid growing up. Okay. But then if you look at the actual years there, if he started when he was like, 7 or 8, and then by the time he's 17, 18, he's doing, he's studio work.
Well, 14,
It's 10,
yeah.
yeah, but that's 10 years
Yes,
of
of
playing
playing.
every single day, most of the
Most
day.
of the day.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right.
And so it's not like it just happened.
No.
Like, he just grabbed it and
Yeah.
picked it up and it just came to him. Like,
People are like that. They get that idea that, I'm going to learn how to play this instrument and, I'll give it a couple months.
Yeah.
Then I'll go on the road.
yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
It
and
doesn't work that way.
No.
the thing that I hear a lot from students, especially beginning students, like that first sign up, what I hear is, well, I'm not looking to be a professional.
Yeah.
And people say that all the time. And I don't know what they really mean, because they want to be able to play.
What it
Yes.
means is they don't want to learn anything that's not super exciting and fun.
Yeah, I guess
And they
so.
certainly don't want it to be tedious.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Yeah, well,
And, with anything,
yeah,
if you're going to be good at anything,
right.
there's going to be those times where you got to put the nose to the
You
grind.
have to,
Yeah.
you have to work at it. Yeah.
Well, I think it means I don't want to like tour with a band. I'm not looking to make
Well, like,
recordings.
who asked you?
Right. That's
You
it.
came here for instruction, and
Yes.
secretly we're a talent agency, and we're going to
No,
sign you
and
up
that
to
becomes
tour.
that's become an issue. Not an issue, but people think that like I'm going to take lessons and then you can hook me up with a band, and that's
Yeah,
not what
It's
we
like,
do.
no, we're going to teach you how
We
to
teach
play.
you how
we're
to
gonna give you
play
the
and how to
skills.
yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
to me, what I've been saying a lot this week, because we had a bunch of new students that signed up. I've been explaining to them that I want to give you the tools that you need so that you can continue to succeed
Yes.
for years and years and years. You know,
Yes.
and not just like, well, I have to stop lessons, therefore I stop learning. That
Right.
that we've set you up with what you need to know as far as technique and tools and reading music and understanding timing, understanding musical concepts, how to find the stuff that's out there that you want to learn, things like that, so that you can continue to be a successful musician, lifelong learner,
Yeah,
Well, that's
hopefully
always
they're
been
going to
it.
be a lifelong learner, because
Yes.
when you stop learning, you die. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
Well,
You
and
know?
that's always been our philosophy is to. I tell students, I'm here to teach myself out of a job. I'm here to teach you how to grab the reins and keep going. Because if you can't continue with lessons or continue with me, I want you to keep doing music
Yeah.
and keep growing and learning. Now you know, like how, okay, you play that song or you sing the song. Now listen to it critically. How can you do it better? What are
Right.
you doing wrong?
Right.
And you teach them how to be critical about what they're doing so that they can make it better.
But then
we
you
get the occasional phone call. I want to take lessons. Of course, I can play anything, and I'm really excellent.
oh yeah,
And I have this instrument mastered.
right.
Okay, so why are you calling for
Right,
lessons? First question that comes into my mind.
right.
Yeah.
What is there left to teach you if you've mastered everything? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of times they're a little bit deceived.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it's not all that it seems. I say all the time, you don't know what you don't know.
I was just going to say, Josh's phrase is, you don't know what you don't know.
Told a student that yesterday.
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's like, so when you come to somebody who has run the rabbit trails, is an expert in the field, understands how to explain things, break things down so that you can understand, then that's when sometimes your eyes get opened, and some of these people that I think, well, I'll just get a couple of pointers, I'll be on my way. Yeah. Sometimes they turn into students that have been with us for years and years and years, because once your eyes start to get opened up to what it really is to play music and make music, then they want to do it more, and they want to do it better, and that's ultimately what you want. But the bottom line is that it's not always easy, and it is something that has to be worked at. And the thing that came to mind watching the documentary was all 4 of those guys were disciplined.
Oh yeah.
And that goes against the Led Zeppelin image of the
just get on stage
and jam and party and all that stuff. Right? It goes against all of that, but that is the bottom line. Is I was saying to you about how when they were first playing together, and they did that in the movie, they did How Many More Times, and they showed that first concert where they weren't even called Led Zeppelin at the time. They were the Yardbirds still, And a lot of John Bonham's style was kind of solidified at that time. He was playing with the massive bass drum, and he was doing the ghost notes on the snare and the triplets and the triplet fills and stuff. And,
was it John Paul Jones that talked about his playing? He said he uses his wrists.
Mm-hmm.
He's not all elbows and ears. He uses his wrists.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautiful, man.
That was great. It was great. It was a great observation, and something that he brought up. But, that's the thing is, he had honed those skills in by that time. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because they were all 20.
I know. Yes.
And so that
was 19.
That's the thing. They were so young.
So that's the thing that makes it so unique, is that they were disciplined at a young age to be able to hone those skills in by that point.
But what I think about is that your dad started teaching you drums at 3.
Yeah.
And so when you were 9 and you did that drum set solo contest.
Yeah.
And you were being compared to teenagers that were 5 years older than you.
Yeah.
You didn't, and they were like, well, he's really good for 9. You didn't want to be really good for 9.
Right.
You wanted to be compared like all
I
equal.
wanted the even playing field.
Yes, and it always bothered you that it was like, well, you're good for 9. And it's like, well, I've been playing for 6 years.
Yeah.
There's that thing that when these young kids kind of get involved with those kind of contests and shows and stuff, and everybody sees them playing something more advanced than they should be, they like all of a sudden say, "Oh man, you got a future, man. You're gonna be."
Yeah.
I mean, everything's laid out for you and all that. I don't know how many people we saw that happen to. Mm-hmm. There was the kid with the bass drum pedal.
Yeah, I remember.
And his dad was pushing it, man. My son, man, he's gonna be the best drummer in the world. Well, you don't even know where he's at now.
Right.
Because it's just for that period, time, and age. Yes, that's very good, and you should encourage that.
Right.
But it's not John Bonham.
We were talking in the car on the way over. Them talking about their practice sessions together, playing for hours and hours and hours on end.
And getting things from each other, bouncing off each other, and trying things and going in different directions and stuff.
That's what it takes, and it's cool. It's a good thing. Like that's where I think that the focus so many times becomes on the glorification of this gifted idea, you know, this idea that like, you see a young kid who's got potential and they do some cool things, and then we want to just say, well, they're just gifted. See, some people just have and some don't, and this one has it clearly, and that's like this magnanimous thing. Yeah. Instead of, you know, celebrating the work, you know, that, oh wow, you've really disciplined yourself and have accomplished.
It's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start. So now you need to continue. You know?
Right.
You need to continue so that you can get better, and you know, and then more opportunities will come because you continue to put in the work and the discipline. You know?
I liked the influences from John Bonham was Gene Krupa, and Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
That's what I was influenced by.
You know?
And followed by Ringo, you know.
Yeah.
And
him and John Bonham.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
He became, you know, like I've been playing, and I was fairly good at what I was doing. At least that's what people said. But then when you listen to Led Zeppelin and you listen to his playing, it's like that's from outer space. Man. I don't know how that guy does that. Right. So then I wanted to study his playing and adopt his things that he's doing, you know, the triplets on the bass drum and whatnot. Yeah. And then that takes it to a whole nother level, and you could actually study what he does. And there's lots of good books now that print that stuff out for you. It's really cool.
Oh, absolutely, and that's great because then you really see it.
But he was a major influence of mine, probably more than anybody else. It was John Bonham.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that Jimmy Page said, we were talking about this in the car, was he said that, you know, people like see that there's something special about you or a gifting or something that's different, but if you don't work at it, it doesn't go anywhere. They all had a gift, but they all worked that gift. And they brought it all together. Each one brought something to the table that was unique, but they all had that passion and that hard work. And I think there's this idea when we see groups like Led Zeppelin or any group that's famous that we, you know, admire, we think they just like fell out of bed and could do it. And I could never do that. Well, if you work, you have to work. You have to put in the time.
I read a thing on Quora where the guy was saying that John Paul Jones was like a really meager bass player.
Oh, get out of here.
What are you smoking, dude?
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously have never tried to play any of his songs.
That's I mean, just play Immigrant Song. You take the most cliche Led Zeppelin song, you know what I mean? Like everybody knows Immigrant Song. Yeah, try to play it on the bass. You know, when it goes to the chorus that and he's doing that with his fingers. He's not using a pick.
No.
You know?
Well, that impressed me in the movie. I'd never really listened to him, and he was an incredible musician.
Yeah.
And he did other stuff. I mean, it was interesting hearing him. He was an arranger, and he did whatever they asked him to do. He was the one that played the organ at his church and was the choir master, and
they needed an organ player,
and he'd never done it.
Okay.
He said, my dad said never turn down a job, so I can do it. And it was funny because it made me think, you know, Josh got a gig playing the banjo. They need a banjo player. Well, I can do it. You know, came home and started practicing that banjo.
It really was. It's literally true story. Literally what happened.
But then, you know, you became really good on the banjo. So it was it was a great thing. But it was really interesting listening to him and all of his wide range of experience. And just kind of amazing listening to his bass. He was so inspired by John Bonham.
You see the riffs he was playing when it was the two of them working off each other?
It was amazing.
It was like, holy cow.
But he had the skills to be able to do whatever he wanted on that bass. That's what he couldn't. He didn't have to stick to 1-4-5. You know, he didn't have to stick to arpeggios.
He was talking about leaving holes in the music to be filled by John Bonham's playing. That's really high level stuff there.
Right, and you're thinking ahead, like you're playing, but you're thinking about what's coming next in the music. It is pretty amazing. So, you know, that was eye opening to me.
Yeah. What I noticed too is that Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones both knew how to read music.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
They were session musicians.
They were session musicians, and you know, John Paul Jones doing arrangement. You know.
Yep.
And
Knows a little bit of theory.
knows a little bit of music theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was pretty incredible because, you know, we deal with the whole, like, should you learn how to read music or not?
Yeah, that argument.
All the time. Yeah. And a lot of people like to point to, you know, different musicians. Paul McCartney is kind of the biggest one that gets thrown out to me all the time. Well, Paul McCartney, you know, he wrote all those songs. He didn't know how to read music. And not, you know, first of all, are you saying you're Paul McCartney? Let's just, you know.
Gotta start there.
Yeah. I mean, you can't say that he's, you know, one of the best musicians of generations and then be like, but see, he did it so everybody can do it, right?
Yeah.
You know, so you can't have it both ways, you know. But then the second thing is what I like to point out to, you know, a lot of people is that, you know, he's a guy that knows the best musicians on the planet, right? And the best composers on the planet.
Yeah.
And if he's gonna, you know, compare himself to somebody like John Williams, for example, who wrote all of the music for, you know, Indiana Jones and Star Wars and E.T. and all that stuff, and like, well, can you write music as good as him? Well, absolutely not, right? Because he's not necessarily writing and scoring for entire orchestras.
Oh, that's his niche is much smaller. Than
Exactly.
Yeah.
Niche or niche?
Niche.
I don't know.
Niche.
I say niche, but I think that's
I
wrong.
think it's niche.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
But but that doesn't mean that he's not an educated musician. It doesn't mean that he doesn't understand
And it doesn't
music.
put him down any.
No. And so, but that's the thing
His
is,
accomplishments speak for themselves.
And
right.
I'm sure he's picked up some things over
well,
the years.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't
That's
think it's
why I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
buy this idea that like, oh, he just lucked into writing all of this phenomenal music, you know, hit after hit after hit after hit.
And
But
being
no, it was
able
just
to play all
yeah, it
these
was just an
multiple
accident.
instruments.
Yeah, I just, you know, started humming a little ditty in the shower and it turned into, you know, Good Day Sunshine. Like, come on, you know, like.
Well, I think musicians steal things from other musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you see somebody that's doing something that you think is really cool, you adopt that into your own repertoire,
Right.
and then you can add that. And I loved it when they talked about James Brown's drummers coming into the concert with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And they were like, holy cow, man, what's he doing? You
Go
know?
watch it.
And they're watching John Bonham.
Yeah.
They're impressed by him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I like that. Well, I like that they talked about how all of them had been inspired by James Brown before they even met, before they even got started.
That was one influential guy, man.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Absolutely.
And Little
outlived
Richard.
his, you know, impact.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, and then Little Richard, you brought up Little Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was huge. You know,
Yeah.
I was teaching a class last week, and we were talking about the history of rock and roll, like its beginnings and stuff. And I had brought up Little Richard, and none of them had ever heard of him. And I was like, you have to hear him because, you know.
It's better to watch him.
Well, and then that was the thing.
As much a showman as he is a musician.
Yeah. Well, I played for him like you know, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, you know, and stuff. And I'm like, this is what people were used to.
Yeah.
This was the sound, and then this is Little Richard. This is what Little Richard did.
Yeah.
And it was right. It was like this explosion, you know, and so. You know, and him and Chuck Berry, you know, I feel like, you know, Elvis Presley was great. He's phenomenal, but I don't, the moniker, the king of rock and roll, you got to give it to Little Richard or Chuck Berry. It's one of those guys. And
well, it was just that Elvis's voice was so unique.
Yeah.
There's never been another and probably never will.
Right.
You know, Freddie Mercury gives it a good shot.
Right. Yeah.
Being that versatile.
Right.
You know, and being that pure in tone.
There you go.
That's what made Elvis, you know, great.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think that he introduced a crowd to you know, for lack of a better word, to black music. That you know, a crowd that wouldn't have given it a time of day.
Yes.
You know, and I think he kind of helped bridge
some
that.
genres together.
Right.
And,
Exactly. Kind of bridged the gap there, you know, and stuff. So, you know, I think he's absolutely an important figure when you're telling the story of music and when you're telling the history of rock and roll. But, you know, if you want to talk about like who really pioneered, got it started, got it going, you know, I think you have to look at Chuck Berry and Little Richard. And then it was cool because Led Zeppelin, you know, acknowledged that.
Yeah, they gave him props
it
was
in
cool.
the documentary.
Yeah, you know, so, yeah.
Well, I guess we enjoyed the movie. We weren't really sure we enjoyed it when we were leaving. We were all
it was really long. I don't know how many hours was it.
It was a couple hours.
It was like,
was it
yeah.
just 2?
It was 2, yeah.
Okay. Why did I feel like it was so long?
Well, I think, like I said, I felt like it was that last song. I felt like that's what did it, because there were a couple of times in the movie where they played the full song. They were always doing clips and stuff, and they would talk about recording this song, and you'd be hearing clips and stuff, and then they would show a concert, and concert footage and have the full song. And then at the end, when they were going over the second album, he's talking about Whole Lot of Love and how, he did it and what he was going for and the avant-garde thing that he was trying to, and he was pushing the limits, and, he did all the sound engineering. Jimmy Page did all the sound engineering himself and stuff, and they showed him in the studio. And then I think that they wanted to show what he was talking about, so they ended up playing the whole song, but they played the recorded version. They didn't play a concert version.
Well, they were playing other clips of other songs.
Yeah.
You're hearing this drum roll in the song, and he's playing the hi-hats and the snares.
It wasn't, because it was this, it didn't line up. It wasn't
weird.
the studio. Yeah. And so I felt like that took you out of it, because
it wasn't as authentic.
Well, like, for example, when they did How Many More Times, that song was the concert footage, and in that concert footage, I know the recording, right? I mean, I've heard it a million times. So, I know where the hits are gonna happen, and the guitar gonna bam, 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 and stuff, and you're watching the concert, and it's not the same. But then it's cool, because it's like, no, this is authentic. That's how they did it, Yeah. And so I appreciated that, and you got to hear, to me, watching it in the theater with the sound like that, it felt like you were in the audience watching them. And that's what I really appreciated. And then that's, like I said, when they did the recorded version at the end there, it kind of felt like, to me, like it kind of took you out. It made it like, you remember when Led Zeppelin did that movie?
Song Remains the Same. Yeah.
And they had, they were doing clips, but it was like that psychedelic kind of, avant-garde film type thing.
Yeah.
It felt like they were doing that. And it was, to me, it just wasn't in keeping with how the documentary had been going.
Yeah.
And so that's why I felt like when that started happening, that's when you start going, okay, how long is this going to go on? So, and then it wasn't shortly after that, it ended. But I feel like that.
Make you feel like they just threw that in at the end. We need about 10 more minutes, man.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like they could have done that better. And, that's not, I also don't feel like that's the best song on the album, too.
No.
And so.
But I think Jimmy Page wanted that in there, because that was an important song to him, because he did all that mixing on it, and he added all these special effects and stuff that was kind of cutting edge at the time.
Right.
Whereas now, so much is computerized, but he did so much with the board and
they were actually making. They weren't
it.
using samples. They were actually making all those sounds. They talked about detuning the guitar and
and different slides that he did, and he was using a bow on the guitar and doing all kinds of stuff.
Well, the echo thing that he was talking about, where they had to create the echo by recording it and then playing it back and then playing
recording
it
over, because it was that reel-to-reel recording. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely, I think he took a lot of pride in that, because that was sort of cutting edge, the things he was doing and experimenting with.
But he learned how to do that with all of his session work.
And working with the different soundboards and stuff.
Oh, and so speaking of which, just fun fact, because I didn't realize how many. I know. Hold on. Fun facts. I didn't realize how much session work he had done with other musicians. Like, he talked about playing with David Bowie and the Rolling Stones and like all those guys before,
it was
Led
pretty
Zeppelin.
Amazing, yeah.
Did you know that he played the guitar on I Get By with a Little Help of My Friends, the Joe Cocker version?
Oh, no.
No, I didn't know that.
He's the guitar player in that one.
Oh, cool.
So that was one of his sessions, before Led Zeppelin.
Well, and then John Paul Jones did arranging for a lot of groups before. And so it was interesting.
All right, well, it sounds like that's a good place for us to take a break. We will be right back.
Ron Kay's music instruction has been trusted by thousands in Pensacola to learn, play and love music. Our strong passion for teaching music provides expert knowledge and guidance which helps you succeed and have fun with your music lessons. Whether it's a bucket list dream or a desire to enhance your child's life, our music lessons are the answer. Call 850-453-9966 now. Realize your musical dreams. Visit musiclessonspensacola.com today.
All right, we're back.
We're back. Right. So we were discussing on the break what we were going to talk about on the next half. So we did also go see the Bob Dylan movie.
A Complete Unknown.
That was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was great.
It was,
You kind of feel like Bob Dylan's a prick, but...
I know, I did think it was funny because I know that he was a part of the process in making the movie.
Was he?
Yes.
Wow.
But it definitely, I didn't feel like it left him with a very positive image.
No, it didn't.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
That's a better way of saying it, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Like a very talented man, don't get me wrong. I really, really admire his music and what he's done.
Same thing. Passion, playing the guitar all the
you
time.
get these great, gifted people who are in a bubble by themselves. Mm-hmm. There's nobody else on the planet but them. And that's kind of the way that he comes across in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unexpectedly good to me, and I like cried through the whole movie, and I think it's just because the music, I didn't realize
that was great music.
That the music was like the soundtrack of my childhood. I mean, we sang, the six of us, my family, we sang together, and my dad played the guitar, and we did a lot of Bob Dylan songs, Joan Baez songs. We did a lot of folk music, Peter, Paul, and Mary. I mean, we did mostly folk music, and it was a lot of those songs. So, I mean, he's singing them, and I'm reliving, like sitting on my little red stool in the family room, practicing with my dad and my sisters and brother, and it was just overwhelming. I'll start crying again because it was so many memories. Like you get,
the guy that played Dylan, he sold that role.
He was amazing.
He was really amazing.
Yeah,
and I was thinking, like, what goes on in your head to be able to transform? Transform into another human being so perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, how about the guy that played Pete Seeger?
Oh, it was the same guy, Ed Norton.
Ed Norton. Yeah. Like, you forgot it was Ed Norton.
Yeah.
That was totally Pete Seeger.
There were a couple of times watching him, and I'm watching his facial expressions and the way he was, and I'm sitting there going, this is the Incredible Hulk. What is happening? This is Fight Club. What is happening here? Like, what is going on? It was pretty...
It was really good.
I felt like his performance was phenomenal. That was like a spot on.
It was amazing.
The movie was an education, man. It really was.
It was good, and it was kind of similar to the Led Zeppelin. It was just like a moment in time, and it was just a little like the beginning of Bob Dylan's career. I just didn't expect to sit there bawling through the whole movie. I think that's just because of the memories that come flooding in.
Okay.
But music does that. We hear songs, and it takes you back to a time. It does it with everybody. Yeah. And every kind of music does that. You hear something, and you remember something that happened when you were listening to that song or whatever,
Well,
so,
it was funny because you're saying that about the Bob Dylan movie. See, that's what was happening to me watching the Led Zeppelin movie.
Oh yeah, well,
because I grew up not just listening to Led Zeppelin, but
having your father ram it down.
But
playing it too.
Playing it on the drums,
Playing it on the bass.
Early memories of playing it on the drums because I think I did Dire Maker when I was 7. So, so that was the first Led Zeppelin song I ever played, And so learning and studying John Bonham, but then when I started playing the guitar and really learning Jimmy Page and sitting there listening and playing with the recording like I was in Led Zeppelin. I felt like I was in Led Zeppelin.
Since I've been loving you, you did a great job of working that song out.
Yeah. But there were so many, like, the whole, me wanting to play the guitar stemmed from a dream I had where there were a bunch of friends of mine that were playing in a garage and in a band, and I walked in and was like, "Hey, it sounds really good." And they said, "Well, you need to play." And I said, "Yeah, but you guys already got a drummer." And they said, "Yeah, no, play guitar." And I'm like, "I don't know how to play guitar, you know." And then they said, "Yeah, you do. Here, just play." And they gave me a guitar, and I was like, "I don't know how to play the guitar. Just play, just play." And I started playing, and I didn't know what I was doing, but Moby Dick started coming out of the guitar, and that was that song specifically that I started playing on the guitar. And I
never heard this story. Yeah. Have you heard this?
You know the way
Really?
the way his brain works is like he hears the song in his head and it comes out in his hands.
Yeah.
I admire that about you so much because it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And you know it.
Well, that's the crazy thing to me is like, yeah, that was before I learned how to play the guitar. I had that dream.
I had no idea.
And then when I started learning how to play, and then when I finally did actually play that song, like I actually did learn that song.
Yeah.
But I had to do it by ear because we couldn't find the music.
The transcription of it. Wow.
So we had that guitar trainer, and it was the CD player, and you would put the CD in and you could loop specific sections of it.
Oh.
And so I had the Notion music, software writing program.
Yeah.
And I had the CD. And so I could loop the section. So I would loop 8 measures, and I just listen to it over and over again, and then copy it on the guitar. And listen to it and copy it, and then once I figured out how to play it, then I wrote it and transcribed it in the program. So like I got fully immersed in Jimmy Page's playing.
Oh, absolutely.
And in his style of improvising and stuff. So. Like you talk about, you were watching Bob Dylan and you were crying and listening to the songs and having memories and stuff. When he started playing the solo in How Many More Times, I started tearing up.
Oh,
and I'm like, I'm the only person on the planet that's crying watching Jimmy Page play right now.
Really. It's probably a lot,
Yeah. But it was the same kind of thing because that was my childhood.
Yeah,
that was my as
cool.
a teenager growing up listening and playing and studying his playing and like you said, working on Since I've Been Loving You, that was a huge influence. You say it all the time, but it's true. Is that my playing took a whole different turn.
Yeah, that jacked you up way far.
Well,
from
because I
were.
remember you learning that. That was one of the songs that you were like, okay, I got it. And you'd play it, and it was like,
nope.
Not yet, try again.
But he stayed determined, and he got it.
Yeah, it was something.
That guy say the mother of all blues songs.
Yeah, we did.
Love that.
Yeah, that was cool.
So what about football, boys?
Yeah, football.
It's not football season.
Season's over in the off season, so now this is the crazy
season of speculation.
Wait, let's talk about the rigged Super Bowl.
The rigged Super Bowl. Oh, stop it! Rigged Super Bowl.
There are people that believe that, although if it was rigged, I was behind it because it's like rigged in the right direction.
Yeah.
It was nice to
Philadelphia
see
needed to win that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Chiefs needed to fall apart like they did. So whether that was...
Well, they had won too many games, in my opinion, by the skin of their teeth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By
the Chiefs,
the Chiefs, last minute field goals, controversial calls,
Patrick Mahomes falling down,
and exactly, just too many sliding in, just sliding right in there, and they had never been against a defense like Philadelphia's defense.
Yeah.
And then, you got Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts just cleaning everything up.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely from the Eagles' perspective, it was entertaining. So
the season was very weird.
It was very weird.
I'm usually pretty accurate when it comes to, betting on this stuff in fantasy.
Yeah.
I'm very accurate. And I won this year,
Yeah.
And the beginning of this season was like nothing that I was seeing or feeling or
you were
betting.
getting everything wrong.
I know.
Yeah.
And it was because of the stupid refs.
Yeah.
I'd have a team up and then the refs would screw them.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, you got to be kidding. And that kept happening,
Well, and you do that pigskin pick'ems with
that's what I'm talking about.
The spread.
Yeah.
I found one that didn't have the spread. You just pick who won, who lost. And we don't bet money or anything. It's just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's you were doing the one with the spread, and the team would win, but not by the spread.
Right, right.
Or
It wouldn't
whatever,
cover the
you know,
spread.
it wouldn't cover the spread.
Yeah, that seems like that was happening a lot. And I think that, enough people got wise to it and were shining a light on it that the NFL took notice.
Right.
And the internet, man, those guys were on that stuff. Those refs were cheating.
Yeah.
Like that one pass for Kansas City in the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
Where the ball hit the ground.
Yeah.
And they ruled it a catch.
Yeah.
And the umpire was standing the ref's right there, looking right at it, and it took him like 3 seconds to call it.
Yeah.
It happened, and he thinks about it, and then it's a touchdown, man.
Right.
And then was there a replay?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Aren't all the touchdowns supposed to be reviewed by New York?
Well,
They said they reviewed it, and they said it was a catch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And,
ridiculous.
everybody said it
was
wasn't.
not a catch.
And that was funny. Tom Brady, I think, was
he
I
was.
was so
that.
proud of
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
taking a stand
he
against this
did.
stuff.
He said that hit the ground. That was not. I mean, he kept.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I thought, well, he's gonna.
Well,
lose
and
his job.
I did wonder if that had something to do with it too, because you got a guy like Tom Brady that's calling you out.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
you know,
Right,
it
right.
was-
Carries a lot of sway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it was, we enjoy football season. It really is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
Tell me who won our league again?
I don't know.
Do you
I
know?
wonder.
Yeah.
Do you know? Yes. Well, Ron came in first.
Again.
Yes. And who came? Did I come in second? I was up there.
I thought your brother did.
My brother came in second.
Yeah,
He did
yeah,
great.
that was it. That
He was
fun.
winning like the whole time,
Yeah.
and at the end, the two of them played, and you won. And so it was definitely fun. We'll do it again. Now the next big thing is March Madness,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe we'll let.
Excited about that.
I'm
Maybe
never
we'll-
any good at that. That's and
Well,
no,
that's
who
the-
is,
actually
you know?
do-
But that's the
I know,
thing.
I do
That's
pretty
that's
good
the
on
fun
that.
about it.
It
Yeah.
Everybody
is.
gets blown
Yeah.
out, you know.
Yeah.
It's fun though, and I enjoy doing that, and so maybe we'll have a Ron K's music March Madness bracket challenge.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
fun.
I
We
know.
should
Well,
do
the
it.
three of us have been doing it for like
I
4
know.
years, 4 or 5 years.
And
now,
I
so,
started
you know.
one at my school, so
Yeah.
we'll have we
Do
have
a
a little
bracket
group,
challenge.
a bracket
Bracket challenge.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, that's good.
And then of course now Josh has gotten us into hockey, so we're
Yes.
watching the Rangers.
Yeah.
We're
But
Rangers
we watch,
fans
we're
now.
Rangers fans for the last 3 minutes of every game.
No,
That's the best.
it is the best. You know.
Josh he'll text us, okay, put it on now.
As long as they're not getting blown out, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. But
And then
even
we
then,
get-
sometimes that's exciting because
pull it
they'll-
back.
they'll
They pull it back.
Yeah.
So that's been fun, and I don't know. We're not really. It's kind of a off season except for basketball, but the Cavs are doing fabulous.
Cavs are the best in the entire league.
Yes,
right now.
so we're very excited. We wear our Cavs shirts
Yeah.
with pride.
And they're staying pretty humble because they're interviewing the stars, and like Donovan Mitchell said in one of his last interviews, he's like, we're doing great, but we haven't done anything because we're not in the playoffs and we haven't won a championship. And
Not
so,
yet, because it's
So
coming.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's like, so all of this, everybody's saying how great we are. It means absolutely
Always got
nothing.
his head on straight.
Yeah, it's
we
really
got to
good.
keep working.
It's really good.
They just because like with hockey and with basketball and baseball, they play so many games.
Yeah.
That anything can happen.
Yep.
It's like football is 18 games.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
know,
that's
it. Yeah.
And that it just seems it's so different than the other sports that have so many and tournaments and all of this stuff.
So tell us what's happening in Cleveland.
Well, we got the combine that just happened, and so with the number 2 pick in the draft, everybody's speculating who the Browns are going to pick, and Andrew Berry is adamant that they are not trading Myles Garrett. There's no even conversation about it.
I
He's
wouldn't
not talking
believe
to
a word he
anybody.
says.
I don't think you can believe a word he says, quite frankly, just based off of how he's behaved
Yeah.
before. But he
Aren't you the guy that got us Watson?
yeah, I know.
You know.
Well, there are other people in the league that are reporting that teams have reached out to the Cleveland Browns and they've been shot down. So it seems like he's going to keep his word and they're not going to trade Myles Garrett. But they got to do something to make him happy because.
I think that I'm like a lot of Cleveland fans in that I like Myles Garrett.
Yeah, we
he
like
has
Myles.
certainly earned his place
Yes.
Yes.
in that team. And if he wants to be happy, somewhere else, I wish him well.
Yeah,
I would not have the slightest problem with him going to somebody else.
No,
even
me
if it
too.
was, Pittsburgh.
Right, but
You
see, I wouldn't, no, I'm not going there.
It's that nerve.
Yeah, no, I'm not going there. But
he needs to be happy.
I wouldn't be
He needs to win
happy.
a Super Bowl.
A guy at that caliber not being able to win a Super Bowl or be on a winning team, that's an abomination, man.
Yeah,
he could make any team look good.
Yeah, but this, I don't quite understand.
Cleveland, right?
Well, I don't quite understand what he's doing right now, though, with this whole campaign of trying to get out of Cleveland, because if they're going to trade him, he doesn't have any say in where they're going to trade him.
Oh, but you don't understand how it works. He's making his preference known.
Yes, and I see that. But
and
they could trade him to the Jets. And you think he's going to be happy there?
He'd do great.
I don't think so.
Yes, he
Not
would.
at all. On the Jets?
That man has character. That man has character.
You never know. The Jets it's a building season for them.
It's a building season.
Building
His
season.
thing is he wants to win a Super Bowl. The Jets are not winning a Super Bowl.
No.
So, if he wants to go to a championship team, and yes, he deserves to be on the championship team, but, just the mere fact that he's requesting a trade doesn't mean that he's going to get traded to a championship team.
Well, no, because he's not calling the shots, but still, I'm not going to harbor him any ill feelings if he goes somewhere else.
No, I think
that's not disloyal to the city.
No.
But I really think
he's not that Modell character.
No.
No.
But I do think that one of the things he's trying to do is I think he is trying to put the heat on the ownership and the coaches.
Yeah.
That they need to get their stuff together. That he doesn't want to go through a whole rebuilding.
Well, if he stays, he's gonna.
Yeah. Well. But I
don't have a choice.
No, but I think that's him speaking out is kind of him throwing his weight around a little bit. That putting that heat on him. That I'm not just going to roll over and let you guys.
Well, he met with the leadership of the organization, right? And made his thoughts known. I don't want to go through another rebuilding year, And they just said, "Hey, screw you, man."
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of where they're at, unfortunately. So tell us, there was the player survey came out.
Yeah, so the NFLPA report card. So this is where the players in the organization get to vote, turn in their votes on how they rank everything. The treatment of families, food and dining, nutrition, locker room, training staff, weight room, strength coaches, team travel, head coach, and ownership. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, out of 32 teams, Cleveland came in 30th. So,
Well, I want to know who came less than us.
Yeah, it was the Jaguars and the Titans, I want to say. I don't remember. But the only grade that was decent,
so they give them a grade like A, B,
letter
C,
grade.
D.
The weight room got an A. The strength coaches got a B+, and the nutritionist and dietitian got a B-. Okay, so this is what the team thinks about these things. A D+ for treatment of families.
That's terrible.
Yeah, a D+ for the training room, an F- for the locker room.
F-. I didn't even know they had an F-.
I wonder what's wrong with the locker room.
They say it's too small.
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest complaint, was that it was too small and it doesn't properly suit their needs. The food and dining area, C-. Team travel, D.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, the training room, D+.
It's like that movie about the Indians.
I know.
Right?
The old beat up bus driver.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Head coach, C.
Well, they're really generous, man.
Ownership, C+.
Oh.
Yeah. So
they're afraid to speak out.
I don't know. That to me that speaks out.
That does.
The coaching getting a C, that is 30th in the league. So that means he is ranked above 2 fired coaches. That's it. So
Right.
he's in the bottom 3 of the NFL. So no,
the 2-time coach of the year.
2-time coach of the year, and that's why when this came out, everybody was all shocked because he's the 2-time coach of the year, and
it
he's
makes
getting
me
a
want
C.
to vomit when I hear that.
Yeah. So I think that
To me, that means there needs to be changes.
Needs to be
They
changes.
need to look at that and see that
Yeah.
the players are not happy
Well,
and they're going to lose people.
But I don't
Yeah.
think the owners are that smart to be able to recognize
Well, I don't think they
that.
care. I don't.
Well,
No,
that's
I
what
think
I'm
that's
saying.
what it
One
is.
goes
They
with the
care.
other, you know.
I think that's what it is. I don't think they care. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, because with this pick in the draft, I think it would be great to get a new quarterback, and we'll be starting fresh with somebody new, and I'm there's always something exciting about that. So we'll have to see, but it's going to be a long off season because figuring out.
I hope it's
Yeah.
not Deion Sanders' kid, because
I like him. You don't like him?
that's good, but you're gonna ruin the kid's life.
Yeah. His perspective is that he helped turn around 2 football teams in his college time, and so he had a press conference and he said, I did it twice. So I think if a team
a
is
young
looking to
kid,
rebuild,
though.
I'm the one you want. Like he's very confident, and he reminds me a lot of Baker, and
Look what happened to him.
well, right, but look at where he's
Yeah,
at
but
now.
now go Baker.
No,
Go
I'm not
Bucks.
talking about now. I'm talking
Yeah.
about when he was with
It
Cleveland.
was
Right,
rough.
right.
He had
Yeah.
to take some knocks for sure.
Yeah, he did.
They
He
abused
did.
him.
Yeah.
But look,
So-
he came back. He came back swinging, and he's doing better because he
Yeah.
went to Carolina, and that was terrible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now he's in a good place, and it reminds me of Miles because we like Baker and we're supporting him at the Bucks. We root for him.
Yeah.
He was my quarterback in fantasy football. He did great. So it's kind of nice. It years ago you talked about LeBron, that people are not always fans of a team, they're fans of a player.
Right.
And we're LeBron fans. I like LeBron.
Right.
He does good wherever he goes, and he does good for the community, and he still does good for Cleveland, even though he doesn't live there anymore.
I'm amazed at how he's working with Doncic, and he's like taking him under
Oh,
his wing.
Doncic, yeah. Oh, and so now the talk is that there's going to be, the final is going to be the Lakers against the Cavs, and like how awesome would that
Oh,
be? Yeah.
that would be. I
Yeah,
would
That
because-
would
enjoy
be a hard
watching
game
that.
for
Would
him
be.
to play.
That would,
It
oh
would
man.
be. Well, he's a
But-
professional.
Oh
He's
yeah,
gonna play
but
hard.
I think it would be, that would be extremely entertaining.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, watch the
definitely.
Lakers against the Cavs, that would be awesome.
Well, we'll
So
have to
we'll
see.
see what happens.
That's it. Well,
All right.
boys, what do you think? Time
Sounds
to wrap
good.
it up?
Time to wrap it up.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for watching this episode of Coffee with the K's. Make sure that you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'll be back at it soon enough.
Yeah, maybe we'll get it.
Yeah, now,
back on track.
now we're back on track.
Yeah,
That's it. We'll be posting some regular episodes for you guys. So make sure that you check it out. If you're interested in music lessons from the best of Florida 2024.
And 23.
And 23. Check out musiclessonspensacola.com. Intro and outro music is by Ron K off of the album K Structure. You can check that out anywhere that you stream great music. Thank you for joining us with this episode of Coffee with the K's, and we'll see you next time.